Thank you. Representative Spartz, you are now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate this hearings. I actually had town halls this weekend, and I know that we talk about legal concept here, and I'll have questions on that, but we need to understand we deal with people's lives. And I had a lot of constituents crying to me that the policemen, nurses, business owner, they're going to lose employees, they're going to lose job, and they're very, very concerned. And I understand, if Ms. Lothar wants to deploy the deployment, will let her employees do whatever they want to do. She can terminate all of them. That's a choice she makes. But I have a quick question for some of the legal scholars we have, and I can start with Mr. Hacker. Do you believe that federal government mandated for you to lose your private job for refusing the vaccine can bring some issues, how constitutional it is?
Yes, Representative Spartz, I can speak to the standard that's required for OSHA, and that's to demonstrate that this is a grave danger where the ETS is necessary. I think they're going to have trouble meeting that standard. I think, as you said, private employers, and as I testified previously, private employers have taken a number of mitigation efforts, instituted a number of COVID risk mitigation protocols, including in certain circumstances, vaccine mandates. And I'm here speaking sort of more to the ETS standard, and I think there are issues that OSHA has there. How private employers will need to address their workforces if there is non-compliance. I don't think we know yet. We haven't seen the ETS, but there could be issues not only with the ETS, but also in the way it conflicts or tries to dovetail with the federal contractor mandate, and folks will have to deal with how they're going to deal with their federal contractor workforce as well.
Well, I think there are some issues there, but also for President Biden to issue such a broad vaccine mandate on his own authority versus via the legislative branch, and also for OSHA to do the rules. Really, it's misinterpretation of his rules, and we actually dealt with it with eviction moratoriums where the rules talk about the laws, the statutes, they deal with toxic substances. Now we're talking about viruses. So if my colleagues want so much to mandate, would it make then sense more for legislative branch to act and actually for Congress to pass this legislation if you believe it's so important versus, give such a broad authority what could be challenged? What do you think, Mr. Hacker?
The statute does grant authority to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration to issue emergency temporary standards under certain defined circumstances. So OSHA will need to demonstrate that there's a grave danger and that this ETS is necessary.
But my question for you, do you think that if my colleagues want so badly to have this mandate, they should go through legislative branch and then charge and they can pass this mandate? Would that clear a lot of constitutional authority challenges potentially that doesn't need further clarification? Do you think it would be a better choice if this committee believes that it needs to be mandated?
Representative Spartz, I don't think that's my determination to make. I think that's a question better directed to your Democratic colleagues. I'm speaking to the ETS, and I think elucidated why I think there's some issues and some hurdles that the ETS will have in going into effect or passing, meeting legal authority.
Okay, and I believe maybe Mr. Dorfman, if you have a second, and Mr. Shapiro, since your legal support, do you believe it would be better and less potential challenges if we would deal with this issue on the legislative versus on executive branch level?
So I'm not a constitutional law scholar. I'm here to talk about the civil rights mandates and civil rights requirements.
Okay, what about Mr. Shapiro? Do you have any thoughts on that? We'll try to that our last lawyer on this panel.
Thank you. Congress has acted. It enacted the OSHA Act. I believe and have argued OSHA has the legal authority to have an ETS. Mr. Hecker and I disagree about that. There's no doubt as to Congress's constitutional authority to create the OSHA Act. And the issue here is not a constitutional one. It's whether or not OSHA has legal authority to have such an ETS.
Right, and I think that is an issue. As we say, if Congress want to clarify, they could clarify this legal authority. Is that correct? Because specifically, it can be challenged on that issue. They believe that it's so important. We can talk about how constitutional it is to do it, isn't it different? But would you believe it would be better?
Well, I think we're going to find out whether OSHA has its authority, because as Mr. Hecker predicted, there will be lawsuits.
Okay, well, I yield back. Thank you.